guys? I'm Brett Jarnigan, creator of Life Camera Actions, and today I'm going to blow your mind with awesomeness. We have 3 action sets for you that are really going to floor you: the Life Camera Workflow, the Vintage Touch Actions, and the Texture Pack. Now if you've ever worked with textures, you know it can be a really daunting task. You have to leave Photoshop to find your texture, open it in Photoshop, drag and drop it on your image, resize it, change the blending mode, then you've got to take your blur tool or your eraser to remove it from your subject, which typically screws up the color or just takes forever. So it's really just a lot of steps and a lot of time. So we've taken all those steps and condensed them down into textured actions. So you actually select the texture you want in your actions palette, click play, instantly it resizes it and puts it on your image for you. And then you just brush it off the skin tones. So it's really simple and really fast and effective. So let's go ahead and take a look.
Alright guys, let's go ahead and open an image up in Photoshop so you can see how these work. If you look over here in my Actions palette, you can see all that we have to offer. The Life Camera Workflow has 36 actions. That includes everything from a pretty intuitive dodge and burn to an action to remove redness from the skin tones, everything you need to pop the colors, sharpen your images, adjust white balance, stuff like that. It also includes the Epic action, which is a really popular action of ours that I'll show you here in a minute. We can come down here to the Vintage Touch Actions. This set has 24 textures and 25 vintage toning, color shifting, and color popping actions. And then the Texture Pack has 26 textured actions in it. So we'll go ahead and start out with the texture from the Vintage Touch Actions. Again, what's really remarkable about these is that it's in your Actions palette. You don't have to leave Photoshop to find a texture or anything. You just select it, come down and click play. It instantly paints it in and resizes it and everything. It even goes ahead and selects your brush tool for you, so you just paint it off the skin tones and you're done. I mean, that's it. So a process that before took you, 5-10 minutes now takes about 5 or 10 seconds. But it doesn't really stop there because we've left it open and we've left it completely customizable. So we can select the folder that it's in and adjust the opacity, of course. So you can have it as subtle or as drastic as you want. It's on a layer mask, so if you were to accidentally paint this area and you wanted to bring back that texture, you can just switch your foreground color to black and paint it right back in. We've also included a lighter and darker layer, so if you needed to brighten up your image, you can do that within this action, and you don't have to run another action to do it. There's a darker layer as well, and then another cool feature is the pop layer. So if you want to get a little bit more snap to your image, you can just slide the opacity of that up. So we can click that on and off to see the huge difference that makes. And then probably the coolest feature in the latest version of the Life Camera Actions is that with the textures now, you can select the texture and actually move it around your image. So what's really amazing about that is that say you wanted to use the same texture on like 5 or 6 different images, but you didn't want them to look exactly the same. Now you can do that and you can move it around each time so the effect looks similar but not the same. So it doesn't look patterned and it doesn't look like you're using the same action. So it basically takes the 50 textures that are included in the Life Camera Actions suite and turns that into about 500 textures, because you can move these things all around and get all kinds of different looks. So we'll go ahead and run another textured action. A lot of these are just textures, and a lot of these are textures plus an effect. This is one that has a nice vintage toning to it. So we can hit play on this, and again, just paint it right off the skin tones. And I mean, you're pretty much done. What's really cool about being able to move the layer around, if we zoom in a little bit closer, you can see that when we move this layer around, that because it's on a layer mask, it actually doesn't put that texture on top of your subject. So it's going to stay off of them. It's going to stay off of any area that you've masked off. So if we wanted to mask this part off, you can see a little bit better that your texture still isn't going to go on that area. And of course we can paint it back in if we want to. So the textures are really simple and really fast and effective, so we can click this on and off and you can see the huge difference that we got in just a few seconds. So let's go ahead and jump down to the texture pack, and I'll just show you a couple real quick ones. We'll just hit play and paint these off. This is just so you can get an idea of what these effects look like, and you can certainly go to lifecameraactions.com to see more samples of these. It's a really solid lineup of textures. There aren't really in here that are waste textures. I originally made these for me, so if something wasn't good enough, I just got rid of it because I wasn't using it, and then I realized about halfway through creating these that people were definitely going to want them, so I decided to make a bunch more and make sure that it was really solid, because I do use these textures and all these actions. This is all I use for my personal workflow. So again, it's a really solid set. It's not like a lot of other action sets where you buy them and then you might use 3 or 4 textures or 3 or 4 actions total. I really think that you can get a lot of use out of every one of the textures and every one of the actions that are included in these sets. So we'll go ahead and show you a few of the effect actions. We'll just hit play on these. We have everything from like vintage toning to color shift actions. You can always adjust your opacity. All the actions are set up with texture masks, as you can see down here. So if we did want to paint this off, the skin tones or a part of the image, you can do that. And of course, you can always paint it back as well. So we'll just run through a few of them here so you can get an idea of what they do. We've got Toasty is one that I really like. It kind of gives that toasty tone plus a nice snap to it. And if we wanted to bump up the sharpness of that image, we could really make it pop out. We also have a black and white version of that same thing, so it's kind of like a more modern sepia instead of that really lame sepia that your grandma's photos look like. We can jump down to warmer pink. Hit play on that really quick. So as you can see, it's just a lineup of textures and actions that just pretty much work across the board. I really don't need to do much adjusting on any of these. And we can we'll run one more and then we'll go ahead and jump into another image so you can see it on that. So I'll bring up a senior image and I'll show you the workflow really quick here. I'm sure you've noticed that there are everybody kind of has some redness to their skin tones, and if we try to pop the color with an image like that where the skin tones are red, it's just going to make them more red to where she's just going to look like a tomato, and you don't want that, your client doesn't want that. So we create an action called Red Sucks. You just hit play and you can paint it off the skin tones. You don't even have to be too careful with it because it doesn't affect the hair or like the background or anything like that. It's really only if it has red in it, so you can even go over the eyes and it's not really going to matter. And then we can pop the colors, and we'll take a little snapshot so you can see the original, and then this is when we pop the colors with the redness in the skin, and then the original and popping the colors after we've taken that out. So a pretty huge difference in just a matter of seconds, really. And I use that on 99% of my images because I found that almost everybody has redness in their skin. To finish this image out, I would do dodge and burn and zoom in on her eyes and brighten those up a little bit. Just like that. And we have an action called Insane Eyes that's really popular. So you can hit play on that, and it's going to take this image, which really isn't even that sharp of focus, and we can paint that over the eyes, and you can see like the huge difference that makes in her eyes. And I would probably run selective sharpen on that. And this is one where we can actually just paint in the areas we want sharp, so I don't really want the background sharp. So just a really quick sharpener, and I'd probably finish it out with an effect action like warm tones. Just hit play, and there you go. So there's our final image. I'd probably back this sharpener off. So you can see, if we take another snapshot, our before and our after. Huge, huge difference. So let's close that image out and bring this one up. And I'm going to show you probably one of my favorite actions of all time. It's called the Epic action. It's in the LifeCamera workflow. It's really great when you have skies, even if you've kind of lost a lot of tone in the sky. This is great for bringing that back and making it really nice and dramatic. So we'll hit play, and it brings up this screen. From here you can adjust the luminosity of your blues and your cyans, so you can darken down the sky as much as you want to get a really dramatic effect. If we zoom in on our model, you can see that adjusting the blues isn't affecting her because she's not a Smurf, so it's not going to change her any. We can use the reds and the yellows to adjust her skin tones, so you can dial that in, so you really have total control over the image. And we can even brighten up stuff like the grass as well. There's not a whole lot in this shot, but you can kind of see that we do have that option. So I would probably bring back the blues a little bit and go ahead and hit OK. Again, you can just paint that off just like that, and you can see her before and after. So again, just a huge difference, and really fast and really simple.